Howdy, gang. On to more.
Hello.
Baby continues to be nutso today. Daddy's tired. Daddy's going insane. Okay. What is my Moodle password? What is my Moodle password? Password 123. Moodle. Moodle. All right, Moodle's up. I believe I already enabled week 3, so everybody should be able to look at the lab, the assignment, and the week 3 lecture. I'm opening up that lecture file now. Uh-oh. Alrighty then. Let me just close out some stuff before I start sharing my screen. So I don't have to blur. Oh, I forgot to blur the stuff out last week. Didn't I have my password up for like a second? Oh, I think I did. That's fine. He says sweating. I should go fix that tonight. I cannot minimize Zoom when I'm recording the meeting. That's interesting. Yep. Oh, yep. Right now. Yeah. That was last week. I'm just closing out a bunch of Garbo. MS Paint. No, thank you. Emails. Get out of here. Moore College wants me to send them my vaccine card, even though I'm living in Virginia and will never be on campus. Isn't that weird? I don't know. Like, I have it. I can send it. Right? That's weird. They've been really on me about it. I don't want to save changes. No, I'm going to force quit. So it quits faster. Visual Studios is slow. Get out of here, Microsoft Teams. I'll leave PowerPoint up. I guess, or they're making sure that I'm vaccinated as like a requirement for professors, but like I'm a remote professor. I haven't left my house since like December 21st. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Share screen. I guess I could just technically share my PowerPoint. Yeah, I could just do that. I need to share something else. I shall. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get my coffee that I had upstairs. If the baby goes nutso gonzo, I'll just put her in her crib and do an expedited lecture. But I'll be right back. Oh, yep, that's right. Hi. Hi. My little nutso. And we're back. Just checking the. I go to Zoom. Is there like a chat? Link? Chat. Yeah. Okay. So, hey everybody, welcome to week 3 of the AGA 304 class. I do hope that last week's lab and homework went well. I know that it was a lot of work. I got that feedback last year too. The benefit of it is that now that you have that menu system done, or you got as far as you could, any Unity project you work on for the rest of your time at college, you've got that in your back pocket, that little menu system. It really adds a lot of polish really fast. Boom, you just plop it in, and now you have your whole navigation system. So I know that it was a lot, especially because most of you don't have too much Unity programming experience, if not all of you. I think one of you mentioned that you had more experience with the C# side of things, but I don't know if that was KP, who's only kind of like honorarily in the class at the moment. But I should probably put on my headphones so I can hear people talk. So I do hope that it turned out to be educational and interesting, and a bit of an uphill struggle, but you got past it. It's the most difficult thing, I think, of the term, is getting that first big old honker out the door, and the rest of it, after feedback from last year, the remaining videos, I think, are much better crafted. And I don't do that thing where I change my mind midway through doing something like I did in that one. It is downhill from here. So thank you for putting up with that last lecture, or that last lab. Anyway, so today we're going to talk a little bit about usability and feedback in games. And then we're going to talk about how to do game design documentation, because your homework is going to be kind of grouping up with somebody or nobody, depends on how you want to do your final project, and arranging your final project pitch. So like, come up with something you want to do. It doesn't have to be set in stone. You're making basically your elevator pitch along with some flow documentation to show like, this is how we think the experience is going to go. And then I'm your producer. I can thumbs down it, thumbs up it, give feedback, help you iterate on the idea until it's something that is like tangible that you can develop in a 15-week cycle. Classes are 15 weeks and more, right? I think so. Anyway, I look forward to seeing what you guys have in mind, and yeah, let's continue. So feedback and usability are both not only important parts of games, but important parts of like anything in a door has feedback and usability. I don't know why I'm pointing back to a blurry scene, but like when you do something, the mechanism responds, and you can design it in ways to be usable for different people. Like if you go to a daycare, the door handles are higher than usual so that the kids can't reach it, right? There are usability considerations you can make for everything. Feel free to use any of the references if you're interested in what I'm talking about for more. Like usual, I'm referencing The Design of Everyday Things and Game Design Workshop, which are my main books. But then I also use Game Feel and some Nielsen research. So what is feedback? Feedback is you provide as a user some sort of input. I hit a button, I turned a knob. Then something interprets it, whether it's mechanical, like the gears inside a door, or our systems interpret, oh, the user just hit the key. And then we provide feedback inside of a game. We change something about the world in response to that keystroke. And in games specifically, and in software, when you have really good feedback, it helps a person understand a system, even if it's really complicated. Have any of you guys been playing Zombie? Dang, what's the name of that game? It's not Zombie Side, that's a board game. Popular zombie game. It's like open world zombie game. I tried it like a couple weeks ago, and it has like the most ridiculous. I'll think of it later. It's like an RPG zombie open world survival game, and there's like literally thousands of stats. It's like it's so hard to keep up with, but there's a lot of complex systems, and everything you do in it affects them. Whether it's like, oh, you're out in the cold, so a couple of your meters are going down, you haven't eaten, your hunger meter's going down, and then when you eat, they go back up. So just having everything in place so that when the user does something, it responds in the world in some way and makes a difference. If the user does something that doesn't make a difference, but it did something in the back end, even though they don't understand the changes it made, then it's not a very good game system. And when we talk about looking at how feedback works and how interfaces work in general, because interfaces are all they do is give feedback to user inputs. There's the user model and the program model. The user model is what the user sees is what they think they have. And then all the stuff that, like the actual way it works, is the computer model. The closer those two things are together, the closer the user's understanding of the systems matches what you actually developed, the better. There are plenty of examples. Man, my baby is rolling all around. There are many examples of bad situations in which a program model doesn't really match the user model very well. So I said very well twice, ignore that. So you'll have a situation like when you're playing a game, you do some particular behavior because you think it helps, but it actually doesn't. My old example from when I was a kid was when I would play Pokemon, for whatever reason, whenever I threw a Pokeball, I'd always hold B and up because I heard from somewhere that like makes the catch work more often, but it doesn't. So that's like my user model in my head, like thinks one thing, oh, and you hold B up, yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna make it the catch better. But then the program model is no, it doesn't matter. Another, is anybody like into Pokemon here or not really? I could go into another Pokemon subject. You do like a high five emoji or something if you're into it. I won't go into it if no one here is that into it. I see no high five emojis, so I'm not going to go. There's a secret stat system inside of Pokemon where every Pokemon has secret stats that you can't see in the screens when you're looking at the summary of them. It's completely hidden from the user, and it's just worked like that for 20 years. And that is a good example of a terrible user model, program model alignment. Anyway. The program model is how it works. It's absolute, whereas the user model is every user is going to interpret it a little differently. That's all I was trying to get with those slides. Sure, whenever you give an input of some sort and you're developing, like, oh, when you press a button, this thing should happen. When I'm selecting a menu option, this should happen. Or when I'm making my character run, this is how it's going to work. It usually has an attack where it eases at some rate into whatever the action is, playing a sound effect, the volume, whoop, or when you're moving your character, they start from a stop and they ramp up. Then they maintain it however long they're going to maintain it. And then when you release, there's usually a decay time, could be instantaneous, like in old school platformers, or it could be gradual, like in Assassin's Creed or other kind of more realistic games, or like your character kind of has a slowdown. And then when does it stop? When does it release? So those are kind of the 4 components of every feedback interaction that you could specifically develop for when you're making your experience, so that you can easily like modulate them, change little things about them until it feels perfectly right. I might do a little bit of that this week in the lab. I forget if I actually specifically develop it in this manner, but I do make a little dude move around, a little jumpy cube, I call it. Yes, my baby. She's been practicing like push-ups, trying to crawl. Then, okay, so we have feedback. Now let's talk about usability. Usability is how we, it's sort of a measurement of how well somebody's able to interact with something. And that somebody is an audience. The audience it differs depending on the situation. Like I said before, the doors at a daycare are terrible for usability if children were the audience, but parents are the audience. So they put the door handle all the way, like they have to reach up and tap it so that kids could never weirdly climb and open the door and get out. So there is an audience that you can measure metrics for to determine how usable it was for them. So there's the usability, and when we're looking at those metrics, we're asking, did it actually accomplish some task? Did it give them some something that they didn't yet have before? I'm going to move her into the crib soon, I think. And if you have both of those, then it is something that's useful. So were they able to do something, and did the thing they do have value to them? If both of those things are true, then it is a useful useful feature. So when you're trying to think of a game that you're making, you can ask those 2 questions. Does this activity have value in the game? And how easy is it to perform that activity? And that can inform whether or not you should spend a week or whatever making that a system. A lot of free-to-play games, to me, all the systems are not useful because they're all these like weird economies whose only purpose is to drive its own economy. So they're not like fun. They don't like give the user anything. They're just like numbers that go up. And we can break down, when I say metrics for measuring usability, we have a series of specific topics that we can talk about when looking at the usability of a product. I am going to move her into the crib. I apologize. Hey, you. Hey, you, my silly Billy. Happy now? Let's get you in the crib. Get you in the crib. She's still crying, but hopefully you at least can't hear it as much. She's been crying since 2 o'clock today. It's been crazy. She might be teething or something. Anyway, so we were talking about the metrics that are available for measuring usability. They're learnability, efficiency, memorability, errors, and satisfaction. And I think, I do define each one. You are free to review the definitions of each one. I can talk about them briefly. I do want to get to the main bread and butter of this lecture, which is getting to the reviewing people's homework so that I can provide assistance or feedback on things. I just want to open a project or two to show maybe how I do things or to assist. But I'll define a few of them that I think are the most important. Learnability, I think, is a big one. How, when you're trying to teach a person a new task or a new activity that results in some desired, you want them to do an activity. How easy is that activity? What is the learning curve to perform it? And what are ways that we can make those learning curves easier? Better iconography is one, not being too texty, having really good visual feedback. So like when you hit a character, how do you know that did damage? Particles and like sound effects, and maybe a little meter above his head goes down. So all those things help inform a user, oh, my action had an effect. I think, okay, yeah, I think errors are a good one to talk about. So errors actually can get broken up into a few different kinds of errors, kind of like a false positive and a, maybe still, can you guys still hear the baby back there? She's pretty loud. Yeah? No? Yeah, poor baby.
Yeah, we'll hear her a little bit.
My poor baby. Oh, dang. She's getting louder. Spoke too soon. I'm gonna go. Maybe she was better in here. I'm gonna try one more time. Okay, I must comfort the child. My baby Yoda, Grogu. You okay? You okay? Sorry, I'm getting my mind back into it. So when you have errors being done, oh, KP is coming in. Hey KP, I hope. I'll wait for it to say it's connected. Hey KP, I hope you weren't waiting long.
It's okay.
I was talking about when a person makes an error in a game, they can have a slip or a mistake. So they either did an action and they thought it was going to do one thing, but it did something else, or they were trying to complete something, but it actually wasn't aligned with the goal in the first place. So one is a mistake and the other is a slip. If you want to read more about that type of stuff, my goodness, baby. My goodness. My goodness. My goodness. Now she's smiling. Okay. So if you want to read more about that or anything else, I always recommend The Design of Everyday Things. It's a great book. Oh yeah, and yeah, another good part of usability is like how good. Oh, you have that book. It's a good book. It's a good book, KP. It's good stuff. How did your user actually get any satisfaction about playing your game? If they didn't get satisfaction out of your game, they're not going to come back and play more. Not going to play more. Man, putting her in the crib was a mistake. She got so mad. So there's interesting examples of usability in games, like when you don't have a keyboard because you're using controllers like this. How do you type? You know, it's always been annoying to type with a controller. So one solution was made by Ubisoft in back in the day. They did a radial keyboard to make it like faster to use an analog stick to quickly go to a location and select it. So it made everything quick, because they had a lot of typing in Beyond Good and Evil for like password entries and stuff. It helped. It made input faster with fewer errors than if they had to like scroll over like a virtual keyboard and like hit buttons. Why they don't use these more often, I'll never know. Like only Steam does it. Oh, my poor baby. Okay. Another topic when I was mentioning icons for usability's sake, affordances are the big player in making icons usable. An affordance is using something in the physical world to help represent something in your world. So for example, when you want to save a game, oftentimes, even though people haven't seen floppy disks in like 20 years, they use a floppy disk. Or when you're navigating into quest systems, you'll often see like folders and those types of metaphors. When you want to copy and paste, you'll often see a picture of a scissors. So all those images help explain to you what it's about to do. You know, mail, whenever you want email or messages, it's usually in a speech bubble, like a comic book, or it's like an actual letter. And that's how you know, oh, that when I click that, I'm probably gonna get into some sort of messaging system. Those are all affordances, and I always invite you to use those in your games, because the more affordances you use, the more culturally relevant icons you use, the fewer words need to be on the screen, and the more your product will be able to be marketed to others, especially so you don't have to translate in a bunch of different languages if you're releasing to mobile for a few different countries, or so you don't have to make the fonts really big, because on a phone, you know, it's very small text. So if you had text in all your menu options, it would be very difficult to read. That's why you often see a little gear instead of it saying like options. Those are all affordances that help you navigate features even without words. So good icons. I'm just seeing if there's anything interesting to talk about here. Another good one is mapping. So when you're laying out stuff, so this is actually relevant to the Rubik's Cube homework we got last week. So that Rubik's Cube homework, like my head is trying to relate certain things in the UI together, like they're tabs almost, the two buttons to set a random Rubik's Cube and to clear the Rubik's Cube. But then there's also the tutorial mode in the same section sometimes, and then I know in other times it wasn't there. And I think it might have been sitting bad with me because maybe it was a question of mapping. When mapping, when you do mapping, you put things in certain locations when they're related to one another. And based on that organization, you can find out who makes mistakes the most often. I don't know how many of you do cooking or anything, but have you ever used a gas range and like it takes you a moment to know which knob does which range? And that is a very common issue because they all work completely differently. And this is it. The reason that they always say metrics are a part of usability is that you can do research to find out how do you make the most mistakes. What mappings, come on, baby. What mappings result in the fewest mistakes? So the bottom two had the fewest mistakes. The top two had the most mistakes in this scenario. Because when you have just 4 things in a row, there's no indication about which ones would be the higher ones and which ones would be the lower ones. In games like Zelda, the buttons themselves are purposely shaped and colored to look like the counterparts on the controller. That's an affordance. And that occurs in many games. You always see like a little like A button or whatever to say, hey, press the A button or the triangle or the X. Those are all affordances that are taking the physical world and making a shorthand for telling you how to do something in the experience. Yes, my baby. Ding, 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 ding. She's so happy. Ding, 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 ding. Need a diaper change? I might take a 10-minute break. Oh, I'll take a 2-minute break to change your diaper, to make sure that's not what's going on, before we talk about documentation. I'm muting myself and I'll be back soon. She had a very big boom boom, so hopefully that is a part of it. Yeah. Oh. She's also really tired, but she refuses to sleep.
Thank you for letting me in.
Of course, Mercy.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Oh my Lord.
So as you can hear, Mercy, I'm dealing with a little something in the background.
It's all good. You can only help so much. Sometimes you're just a little baby and you just got to do baby things like cry.
I had to cry it out a bit. So we're actually just about to start talking about documentation in games. Okay. So we're just talking about documentation in games. My little pumpkin, yeah, she wants to learn. Okay, you're okay. It's weird. She calms down, and then the second I start talking, she starts crying. Yeah, she's gonna be a pro gamer. Okay, so when I talk about documentation in games, let me at least make her face away from the mic. I talk about making documents in games, I am referring to a game design document. And there are many components of a game design document. And when we make a game, we don't necessarily know everything about it when we start. So it's a living document. And as the course goes on, you will update it over time. But you can at least get started with a few ideas. Usually when you write a document, it has the following format. Your game design document, it can be as big as you want. It's probably going to end up being, I don't know, 8 pages, who cares? At the end of the day, when you include images and stuff like that, you usually start with some type of elevator pitch, an overview, a vision. Then you talk about what kind of people you want to play your game, the audience and the marketing. Maybe you even do a little research on the topic. I did last week give some demographic research details, like the ESRB player survey, where they showed everybody in 2021. This is how we divide it. Women play these games in these age ranges, etc. Then you talk about how you want your gameplay to go. And if it's a story-heavy game, you also talk about the characters, the story, the world, the narrative, that type of thing. I don't know why I have Mandalorian on the mind today. And then as you continue making your game, you add all the assets you make to the end of it, and that's called a media list. Just everything you make, you catalog it there, and then at the end of the experience, you can say, hey, look how much crap we did. We did a lot of crap, and we can use it again later. Okay, so I actually already kind of talked about all this. Yep. Yeah, ignore sales estimates for this class, because unless you want to try selling it on a store, I can walk you through putting it on a store, but don't have to worry about that here for the demographics. Gameplay does get broken down into controls, the wireframes you did a couple weeks ago, but like a lot of those flow charts are also very important. Breakdowns of how you expect each level to go. And if you just have a 1-level game like Mercy's game last time, was basically a dance room that was customizable. Whereas KP's game last term that she was helping out with actually did have 3 levels. So they had to do very different approaches for that type of section. Because one had 3 unique laid out levels, and the other one was a single level customizable, because it was like a dance hall that you could put in like bananas and windows and that type of thing. Flowcharts are what actually we're going to be doing this week for homework, so I'll talk about them more in depth. A flowchart gives the producer an idea of the scope. A flowchart also helps you know where you need to program things and how you should program them. I should have a pacifier down here, but I don't. I should go get one. Hey, okay. In a minute, I'll get a pacifier. Flowcharts, they help you program stuff. They help you know what assets you need, because if you did it correctly, then you know, oh, I need these screens, and each screen is going to have these buttons, so I need to make those buttons. And if I can navigate back to somewhere, then I know I need a little close button for that section. So having adequate flowcharts gives you like 75% of the UI assets and the art assets in general that you need. There are some that are more subjective that you can add later on, but the flowcharts help give you an overview of how much scope you're dealing with. Yes, a good flowchart for each one of the, if I were to maximize this, If I were to maximize this, where's the little maxi button? I should probably, oh, here's a little. Boop, 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 boop. So this is actually a flowchart to a popular game show and how it works. This is a game. This is a board game. I was like, maybe I can just like sing the. So this is a flowchart for a popular game show game, and they the wireframes or the flowcharts also inform you what wireframes you need to plan out for. So for each of your nodes, you take that node and you say, okay, this is what that particular wireframe is going to look like. So you have an option screen and you have the credits inside the option screen. So each of those would be a flow element, all that type of stuff. There's also, I don't know if I talk about directionality. Okay, yeah, cool. So I make flows all the time for my job because I'm kind of like a lead engineer type of person. And I need to be able to communicate what I need to everybody else. So usually when I'm making like bare bones, this is what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks. We define specific activities that we want to have be playable. So this was an eye tracking experience for a game with kids with autism. They do eye tracking exercises. And so we needed a calibration phase. And in order to do that calibration phase, I needed to draw out specifically, these are the order of things that are going to happen. And that tells me how I should program stuff. And it also tells the artists what they need to make. So they need to make press X to display the target. They need to make a little window that says, hey, press X. There's going to be some 10-second timer. That means they're going to need some like pie chart that slowly fills in or something like that. All these activities inform both the programmers and the artists. Some patterns that are good to have when you're making a flow chart are moving from top to bottom when you're doing a flow. You don't go all over the place so that your eyes can naturally go to the next step and you don't like start from the center. You start from the top left or the bottom left and you work in a single direction. When you do break that pattern, it's because you're doing it to go backwards. So for example, the two breaks I have in this one are both horizontal and they go back to previous segments. Okay, I'm gonna go put her in her crib and see how that goes. I'm back. I figured I'd try milk instead for so maybe she wants milk. Bye, Autumn. Oh, my crazy girl. Okay. 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 Oh, don't knock over my coffee. She hasn't slept all day. I know, I just want them to tell me what do you want from me? She hasn't slept all day. I'm like, what are you doing? So She just refused to sleep. It's exhausting to both of us. So when like all my Zoom windows are in front of stuff. So flowcharts are kind of my bread and butter. They're what I like doing the most because they explain. That's right. Flows are really important because they explain things to so many different parts of your team. I know you guys might have a 4-person team or 2 sets of 2 or whatever it is you do. Just everybody following a single picture makes life so much easier. So that's why I always really hone in on the flow charts. And that's actually what your homework is this week. So you're going to start planning your experience, whatever game you want to make. Last year, I saw everything from Guitar Hero to like a Flappy Bird style game to the Monkey Dance Off game, whatever it is you want to think about making. Don't go like, I'm going to make an open world MMO. That is probably not happening. But within reason, some type of puzzle experience or some type of whatever, I'm totally open to talking about. So start planning your project. Know that you have me as a programmer assist. If you are afraid of doing it or something, like, I'm here for you. I can provide tutorials or my own mentorship to make sure that whatever it is you want to make gets done. Because my goal, like I said 2 weeks ago, is for you guys to end with a portfolio that you're proud, a portfolio piece that you're proud of. Because I know that professors are all over the place, and some are better than others, or some are worse than others, or sometimes the class just isn't structured for what you need. And I want to make sure that you have what you need so that you at least have this, like, regardless of whatever other classes you took, this class gives you something you can show at the end of the year. Anyway, so I want you to try to draft your elevator pitch, your vision statement, whatever you want to call it. Maybe give a little paragraph about how you expect it to play, and take a crack at making your first game flow diagram. All of those things are discussed in the previous slides. And I could probably hook you guys up with some examples that I got last year and then like what grades I gave them. But I do specifically say, like, for the vision statement, give a 1-sentence game description as your elevator pitch, and then maybe a little couple sentences of synopsis about why you think it's important. So for example, Monkey See, Monkey Dance is a rhythm-based combat game. In it, so that was the log line. So like, it's a rhythm-based combat game. Cool. The player customizes their house, customizes their dance floor, picks out their competition, and is able to try to be the best dancer in the room. I'd have to reread the game to remember all the details about it. But you give your kind of the 1-sentence overview about what is the player doing. So it's a dance combat game, a rhythm-based combat game, and then what are some of the specific things they do in their adventure or whatever it is to get to complement those activities. So that's your overview vision statement. I'm ignoring audience for now for this homework. We can do that next week. And then give a little bit about your gameplay. How do you want it to work? What types of things you want to do? What are the controls you anticipate needing to have? Is it touch control? Is it like a virtual controller, like where there's a little analog stick thing that you touch and move around? Are like, how many wireframes do you think you need? Feel free to take a crack at it. I'm not going to say have all of them. Just if you want to make a couple to show me so I can visualize what you're talking about. Feel free to take a crack at it. And then, of course, have your flow charts ready to go. And if you have a wireframe, hint, there should be somewhere in your flow chart that represents that wireframe. So if you give me a pause screen, I should see a pause inside of your wireframes. I'm brutal on those flow charts. I meant to say I should see a pause on your flowchart, not a pause on your wireframes. I'm a brutal flowchart grader. In fact, I'd give this one a pretty poor grade, but it does do most of it. They just have a very big flowchart in a very small amount of space. So I get that it's difficult, but they should have spaced it out a bit more. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. If you meet this quality, that's perfectly acceptable. I'm just compulsive. As you can see here, I'm very compulsive about placement. Yeah. So are there any questions about that homework before I move on and start talking about opening somebody's project and taking a look about what they did last week? Let me put on my headphones so I can actually hear people. I'm going to put on my headphones, but also keep the baby's bottle in her mouth. The flowchart is a part of the document, but yes, the document should have an elevator pitch type of thing, a small, let's say a paragraph for your pitch, a paragraph for your gameplay expectations, and then a flow chart of how you think the flow would work to match the gameplay that you outlined. Feel free to use the stuff up here to give you hints about what you should write about. Yeah, that seem reasonable? Cool. Any other questions? Yeah, see, she was exhausted. I don't know if she gets blurred out down there, but poor baby. She would not sleep all day. Any other questions before I move on? Going once, going twice, gone. New share. Okay, I'm going to share the full screen. And forever hold your peace. In your arrogance, you killed her. No. Okay, so week. It's pay no mind to all my hidden weeks, my secret lair of weeks. Whoa. Moodle is the weirdest. Oh, I hate it. I hate the animations. I just want to be able to go to a place. I'd rate its usability as low. Okay. So would there be anybody who wants me to review their lab or their homework tonight? Feel free to just type in the chat like my homework or my lab, and I can look at it. And if there's anything wrong with it, like that's the point of this, is that I can show, oh, this is how I changed it to accommodate the problems that you encountered. And it's not going to be like you get an F for the entire year because this button is in the wrong spot. It's fine. It's mostly I just want to use somebody's submission as a means to explain problems that probably everybody ran into. Messed up the button PNG sizes for the lab. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look, Isabel. For the lab. Am I clicked on the lab? Yes. View all submissions. And it's cool that they're not here yet. That's fine. I already talked to you guys, and I know that this is a big one. Also, I apparently set the due date to last night instead of tonight or tomorrow night. I can fix that. Anyway, boom. F. My poor baby. I should have fed her a while ago, shouldn't I? She did need a change anyway. Okay, so here it is. And now I can go to Unity Hub. Do I have you open? Oh, I do. Good boy. Oop, not that one. Open. Downloads. Here we are. I know, right? It's the worst. That's why I got it out of the way early. Once you learn how it works, it hopefully stops being as terrible. And some of y'all are working on Macs, and I've seen lots of weird Mac stuff this week with 2021. I've never seen those problems before. She is out. Can you guys see my Unity screen here? Awesome.
Yes.
Sweet. So let's get started. Let's take a look-a-mundo. So my usual, I'll explain what I'm doing because I like do keystrokes. I tap F to like, boop, okay. And I see that it's constrained to my monitor resolution here. So I'm going to go to my game screen and say, actually, you should be, I assume it's like a portrait iPhone game. So iPhone 9 resolution. I don't want to do 10. That's annoying. Actually, was there an iPhone 9? I think there was. Or did it go from 8 to X? So let's do, oh, did they not include X in the lit? That's weird.
That was another problem I had for some reason when I was watching your tutorial video. It didn't have like the portrait option, and I'm still having trouble getting it on my phone.
Mm-hmm. So often, the reason that would be because in build settings, did you have it already switched to iOS or whatever?
Yeah, like it says like when it's editor project settings, and then it says like the option like any Android device, iOS, or your iPhone.
Mhm.
I plug it in, it says my iPhone,
Do
but
you
then
have
like
iTunes installed?
yeah, I have iTunes
Dang.
installed.
Dang.
I
Okay.
don't know.
That's usually the problem, is no iTunes. Okay, I'm happy to sit down with you and take a crack at that. You're trying to do the remote thing, right?
Yeah.
Do you have remote player installed on your iPhone?
The Unity Remote 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that.
Strike two. Okay, I'll think on it.
It worked for a hot second one day, and then the next day it refused.
Oh, interesting. I guess, yeah, we'll check that out. I'm happy to sit down with you one night and just pump out what's going on. If I Alt Tab to look at the resolution again, then this will be gone, but I have to. 375 by 812. Dang it. 375 by 812. 375 by 812. Okay, boink. And now I get this. Okay, so you're getting your questions, I assume, are going to be like, how do I make this into more of like a background? It's like Stretchy Boy here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
yeah.
There's a lot of different. Whoa, it's like going really close. There it is. And we get flipped around here. So I like. I think this will be a good chat. I just want to look at your other screens in here. Whoa. Get down there. So we got the play panel. We got the options panel. I press play here. I press this. Cool. Perfecto mundo. Admittedly, I did something I say don't do, which is editing the thing here instead of inside the prefab. Do as I say, not as I do. I'll turn this. I'll leave this on for now because we're fixing it. And I'll do the changes inside of. This is fine. It's fine. Trying to figure out a way to have my Zoom windows like not take up 2/3 of my screen. So
The Zoom windows are so
and
annoying
they're
for no
everywhere.
reason.
So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about what are the things that we need to fix. The first thing would be the background here is this sliced image. Oh, no, maybe. And I just want to see, does anything else use this texture before I mess with it? Like this one here? Are these the same?
Yeah, those are the same PNG because I followed the Photoshop tutorial and I thought, oh, I'll be using these buttons in this one. It's like, oh wait, I did these for now.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so because of that, I just don't want to mess up that one too. I'll do big button duplicate, right? I want to do changes, but I only want to change this one. I don't want to mess up this one. So I'm going to go to my panel here, my foreground panel. I'm going to put on, oh, not that one, big button duplicate. Oop. Adjusted. Still looks like crap. And then I say, I'm getting there. So I pop over to my sprite editor, which should be somewhere. See the word sprite editor? Am I blind? Oh, there it is. Boink. So, boop. Let's do that first. Another warning is this is a very big image. Probably doesn't need to be that resolution. The bigger the image, the more load time it will take on a mobile device. And you only have so much memory. It doesn't really matter that much anymore because phones are ridiculous. Phones are the power of like computers from 10 years ago now, which is, you know, could probably run Crisis. So yeah, I'm just lining those orders up. Yeah. And where's that apply button? Skadoosh. That looks like I was a little off up here. I see them. Yeah, let's get that right there. Is the resolution on my screen share high enough that you see me moving the screen line?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The other recommendation I have, so you don't get blurriness when it's on your phone, is if you are going to have whatever image, always make sure that it is a unit of 2, so like 2048 instead of 2000, because any image that isn't a unit of 2 actually gets resized when it's built out to being a unit of 2. So you're going to get blurriness in some direction. I think it even says somewhere usually how, oh yeah, see, size is 2048, so it's going to try to like resize it. Anyway, so I just remembered I can also do the auto slice tool, but that's fine. So I just did this, and when I go back, go here, there's my panel. I wanted to use this one. Crazy. Am I a crazy boy? Let's make sure that it's taking up the full thing. Boink. Interesting. Oh, is it set to slice? Simple. Okay. So now it's like that. Okay. Let's go back to sliced because I know that's what you were trying to accomplish. And remember, I'm not an artist, so I am remembering how this works. If I remember correctly, I need to define. If anybody else did slices this week, it is not fresh in my memory, but I believe it was something like this, where you define it, the corners like that, and the borders. And where are my numbers here? So it looks like I'm 700 in from the left. So let's make the same from the right. Right 700. That doesn't look centered, does it? Does that look centered?
I think the one on the left should be moved a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's almost like the image itself might not be centered.
Oh, wait, that might be it.
Yeah, see? There's 2 of these on that side, but like 2.5 of them on this side. So that could be a problem overall, but I'm ignoring it for now. Let's just say, and it's also not centered vertically. So when you do an export, you got to make sure that it is properly sliced. Apply. I just want to see something here. Let me go to the image, blink. I think I do a specification inside of here. Right, so my two options, because it's not perfectly centered and not taking up the whole thing, I believe I can say multiple and then go to my sprite editor and apply. And did I click on the right one? Yeah, I did. Yeah. And then I can do an auto slice, boom, and then that just cuts right down to it. Apply. So this is option one. I've sliced it down, and then I can go to my options panel foreground and plop on this new sprite and specify that I should preserve the aspect. Boom, that's option one. Option two, so that you know how big it is when it's in the game. Stay asleep, my baby, stay asleep. Stay asleep. There you go. Milk. Option two is remaining in the sliced mode. Going back to this image. And whoever, if anybody recalls, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you do need to remain single. Go in and do this thing. And I'm just going to eyeball it. Having the gradients, I don't know how that'll look when it's trying to stretch stuff out, because it's going to repeat this over and over again. And then I'll hit apply. Boom. Close. Back here. Foreground panel. It's missing it again because I changed it. Boop. Okay, so I need to reslice it a bit. So let's look at that slice and modify it. And then I'll hit apply a few times until it looks right. Yeah. Let me think about it. I think the better solution is to change the pixels per unit so that I don't need to cut it again. Sure, apply. So maybe I have to go higher. 200. Let's see what happens. Apply. Okay. 300. A 1,000. Because it's so big. Such a big boy. There you go. Actually, that looks pretty good. So the things I did were I went into the texture, I went into the sprite editor, and you kind of define the corners in the walls, and that's how it knows how to slice it. You can also just make it a simple 9x9 grid, like all evenly spaced if everything was perfect. So it'd be like this. I think in mine, I skewed this direction because the bottom of my texture looked different. I sort of forget. And then you hit apply, blink. After you've hit apply, depending on the size of your image, you need to define how many pixels per unit your image should be interpreted as. And that's because like my monitor size is only what, like 375 pixels, but it's a 2000 pixel big image. So it didn't know how to apply that image onto itself. The other recommendation I'd make, trick of the trade, is if you made this a grayscale gradient, then you could use it for everything in the game and then go, okay, I want the background, I want this one to be gray, and you could do that. and it would just be a gray background, and then I want that one to be orange, and you just move it to orange. So making grayscale gradient style borders like what you have here would then let you be able to reuse it a lot of times for a bunch of different spots instead of making a unique asset for everything, if they're all going to have the same art style. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Oh my
Of
gosh.
course. Did you follow along on your side?
Nah, I'm worried that like my computer might do something if I have Zoom and Unity at once. For me, at least.
That's fine.
My end's been a bit finicky today.
Unity's finicky for everybody.
Yeah.
If you, it's finicky for me, and I've been using it for 15 years. If you try it later and you still have trouble, just let me know. We can arrange a call and I can help fix it. But those are the actions I would do to get you to that repeatable stretched background. Not stretched, the opposite of stretched. A proportional background that's sliced. Does anybody else have any questions about homework they worked on, or is there anything I can look at, answer questions about? I'm here for you guys. I'm getting paid to teach, so I'm happy to provide my mentorship on any issues you guys encounter. And I can watch the messages, or you feel free to say it directly. I'm happy to open anybody's assignment and take a look. Since all of y'all are here, how was that lab? Was it too much? Last year it was definitely too much.
Oh, wait, question. I just realized.
Yes.
Say, because since it's for like a phone for our menus, what if like the game is like supposed to be viewed horizontally? Do we change like the size or the canvas? Not the canvas. No, yeah, the canvas size, or
Yeah,
what
you
do you
can do
call it?
like this to preview it. And I think when you're in the mobile, when you have like the iPhone version enabled, you can like quickly switch. And that'll give you a quick way to see, oh, this is what it looks like in that resolution. And usually if you're following my tutorial, which it looks like you did, I usually size things in a way using those percentages instead of using pixels, so that it looks fine in both. It just looks different.
Oh, okay.
And it still like hugs the top corner and all that type of stuff. Usually the classic mistake people make when they're first using canvases is they do everything by pixels, and then when they like open it up on their phone, they can't see anything, or it's like this big because like they size it in a very particular way. But if you ever do that, there is a trick around it. Like, what if you do need specific pixel placements of things? The way you get around that, which was heavily used last year, is you use this canvas scaler, and instead of saying be consistent with the pixels on the screen, be consistent with whatever I designed it for. I designed it for my phone, and I'm on I don't know, an iPhone SE. I don't know why I'm still on an iPhone SE or whatever, but I designed it for this ratio. And then you can type in that ratio here, boink, boink, and it'll fix all of your resolutions across all your screens to be whatever you tried to design it for. So it's that canvas scaler, and instead of being pixels, constant pixel size, so everything will so if I do free aspect, it does that. But if I say, actually, I want to be scale with a screen size of, I don't know, 375 by 12, then it'll always be sized for that. Just depends on what you originally scaled it for. So if I do times 2, it might actually look the same. Oh yeah, it'll look different because it's a really big texture in the background. That's right. So then now it'll always be constrained to that setup, no matter what resolution it ends up trying to be played on. So that's a handy tip, handy tool to have.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Any other questions? How Torture is using Unity Canvas. I guarantee you it's better than Unreal's widgets. Its widgets are broken. It's so frustrating. We're working on a product now where you're supposed to be able to it's like a Sims game where you can click on an item, drag it along in the room, and you can rotate it. But Unity widgets are broken so that when you try to rotate it with a little slider, it also detects a touch at the same time, and it cancels out the slider because their UI isn't developed properly to consume the poke input over the move input. So this is broken. Unity, I've never had a problem like that. I've had plenty of problems in Unity, but Unreal widgets are something else. Anyway, any other questions? I'm happy to close out now. Let you guys do your homeworks or whatever it is you need to do tonight. Happy Friday. But I'll say bye. But if you want to talk to me or anything, or you have questions, feel free to stick around. How about that? My office hours are now open while the baby's asleep. I'll stick around till 8. So have a good week, everybody. If you have any questions about homework 3 or lab 3, lab 3 is the introduction of Jumpy Cube. I do have code reference if you need it. So if you're having trouble following along, or you missed a line of code, or YouTube's blurry in a spot, I can provide you with snippets of code. Yeah, Mercy loves the Jumpy Cube. It's a good lab because it actually gets you basically to a game by the end of it. Over the next 5 weeks, on top of the menu that you made, you're going to have a little dude that moves left and right. Bad guys fall from the sky, as well as collectibles. You have a health bar. You have a tutorial system. It's going to give you all those tools. So it's going to be good. So this week it's just having the cube move left and right. So don't worry about all the other stuff. You're a little dude that moves left and right. In the end, all we are in this world are little dudes that move left and right on a screen.
I'm really good at it too. Sometimes I can move left twice in a row.
It's pretty OP.
Oh, good morning, Lee.
I gotta nerf that.
Morning.
All right, y'all. Have a good evening. I'm around for office hours if you have questions, but otherwise, get your Friday on.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
For the assignment for this week, is it exactly just like week 1?
In
Just-
what way?
Just making a game into making it look like it's mobile.
Yeah. It's like week 1 where you're, in terms of the wireframes, make some wireframes that would represent a concept. And it is very similar to week 1. But then also, I want the flow charts. So you would explain how those screens that you just made connect to one another. And you'd give me a little elevator pitch for the game. Because before, you were describing the game a little bit, but people did. Did you do the why am I forgetting the name of that game? Duck Hunt? Did you do Duck Hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody knows what Duck Hunt is. You didn't need to do a pitch for it.
Mm-hmm.
This week you give me a little pitch at the same time. So yes, same artwork as week 1, but with the addition of a couple paragraphs of introducing the topic to be your kind of prototype of your game design document, and a flow chart to show me how the stuff connects. Is that
Okay?
Is that an okay answer? Is that clear?
Yeah. So we're just designing a game at the top of our heads, or are we using the same game that we used
top of your head. If you want to use the game you used, you can, but a lot of people used copyright stuff this time around. Last year, everybody
Okay,
did
yeah,
like
yeah,
original concepts to start, but this time around, everyone was like Rubik's Cube. I forgot the name again. Duck Hunt. Jesus,
Mhm.
what's happening? I'm tired. And I forget the other game somebody did, but yeah, like everybody used copyright games this time.
Okay.
But okay, to explain further, how about I pop back over to last year, and I will attach. I'll show it to everybody now, and then I'll attach it in our Discord so that we all have a reference to. Hey, this is a good one from last year. Ooh, am I about to put Mercy on the spot?
Are you?
I don't know. I'm looking at last year, so I'm just gonna take the one that I graded the highest.
Okay. Then it won't be mine. Just kidding.
Rick. Yeah, you got an F last year, so I don't know.
Yeah, I suck.
Sorting by grade. Doo. Ooh, yeah, you got beat. Oh, you got handily defeated. Oh no, actually, did you just get 9 still?
Yeah.
You got 9.
Yeah, Justin. God.
Ooh, but what's this?
Oh no, I don't know
Ooh.
what that is. I actually can't read, so
Yeah, what are books? I'm looking for the one with the fewest things that I have to download. Those are good. Oh yeah, and you can work in groups. If I didn't mention that already, just let me know what group you work in.
I would highly recommend working in group. You guys can be
So
best
this
friends.
is preparing for your, and even if you choose not to work in a group this week, we're going to go over the pitches next week because I'm going to give thumbs up, thumbs down. If you like somebody's pitch and you want to work with them, do it. I don't care. You don't have to work on your product if you like somebody else's pitch and you want to help them make it, because then both of you have a cool portfolio piece, and double the people means double the work, double the accomplishments, half the work with hopefully half the work. So I'll pull this down. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes, I'm on the spot.
Yes. Okay, so let's take a look. Here's the flow chart you made. And I do remember I was very harsh on your flow chart.
Yeah, you didn't like it. You said this shit's ugly, dude.
Yeah, so basically my problem with this flow chart is that it's centrally based and it radiates outward like a spider, but really it should go from top to bottom or left to right. Like, I don't know what the focus of the game is. Like where's what is the main play loop? Where's the main screen? Like, just looking at it, it's hard to like know where to start, other than start screen and then like, oh, I can go in 2 directions, but like it's the same arrow and like the directionality is weird. So like, I'm gonna be harsh, but then I'll usually show you how to make it better. I forget if you guys ended up doing, did you end up doing a remake of it? I forgot.
I don't think so, because I think the whole semester we were like, yeah, good, you guys should remake your flow chart. Yeah, and then you kept making fun of us.
Yeah, but you did have a pretty complicated game, so it's okay. A complicated game that would have been much better with a good flow chart. And this was the length of the vision statement. So nothing too crazy. Pitch. Oh, let's see how close my pitch was. The name of our game is Monkey See, Monkey Dance. This game has the player play as a monkey who owns a dance club. There's the one-liner, and in order to increase your club's popularity and appearance, you need to do dance battles. You need money and popularity. You unlock. We did not do a popularity feature.
No.
You get different furniture items, and you can place them in. And when you decorate your club, you get more monkeys that you can have battles with. Yeah. So it shows you kind of how all the systems are going to work together in a single paragraph. Boom. And then you can talk about the features more in depth for how you want things to experience. Oh, it's going to be a landscape mode game. Cool. I understand. They're going to tap to do like Guitar Hero style dance battles. So I think it was swipe based, right? It was like swipe left, swipe right. That was a big game. So yeah, so I'll attach this, and then what was the last part? 7-zip extract here, and I'll zip all these guys up into one and call it example. to a zip.
I feel so special.
But I'm gonna call it something else. So to separate you from it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it dumb project.
Literally so true. Like
AJ,
some
do it for-
idiot made this.
Homework 3 example. One. Cool. Okay, so I'll put this for everybody to review, Juliana, in the homework 3, just so that you have like a baseline. But while I'm here, let's open up that other thing that I saw happening. Yep, and here are some assets. They had one wireframe screen that they had planned out, or two. These two that are just like week 1. And then they also included, there's going to be like little props that you can place in. It's going to be dependent on whatever your concept is. The monkey is going to have a lot of emotions.
Sad monkey.
And it looks like somebody did the whole monkey, and they wanted me to know that they did the whole monkey because only half of it made it on the screen. So they included it. So yeah, that's kind of the type of assets I might expect. Is that the same too, or is this start screen? It's just a really happy monkey. I wonder what the context of this really happy monkey is.
Oh, that was for the windscreen.
So yeah, the wireframes are kind of the thing I want the most. And then if you have other assets that you're doing when you're like brainstorming, of course, include them. It's not going to hurt because it's only going to help me give you more input later on. Does that give you all the answers you need, Juliana?
Yeah, I understand now.
Sweet. Okay, I will include that zip drive so that everybody benefits. Zip drive, what is this, 2002? Did any of you have a zip drive back in the day? No?
No.
So zip drives were between floppy disk and CD-ROM. So before CD-ROM came out, they're like, what's the next floppy disk? And it was...
I mean, I know what floppy disks are, so that's weird.
Well, they didn't, zip drives never really caught on, though I did have a zip drive reader. I preferred zip drives over, I'm in the wrong one, aren't I? I preferred zip drives over CDs because you could scratch a CD, whereas a zip was like protected.
True.
But that was when, back in my day, they would like, oh dang it, that's 2021 still. Back in my day, you would like put your project on a CD and bring it to class to turn in.
That's really funny.
Because like the internet wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I was in a generation that didn't have internet until we were like 12.
Yeah, that probably would have been good for my sanity and mental state.
Yeah, like I've never met a person under my age group who went, yeah, having the internet early was really good for my well-being.
Yeah,
I
no.
feel really great having social media in my life constantly as a stream of consciousness until I was college age. It was really great. It really helped my self-esteem.
Development years just were so much better with the internet.
On the one hand, like I guess it's nice to have like information. But then like the social media side of it, get me out of here. Wait, how do
I had cool friends on YouTube that were into webkins like me, so that was pretty sick.
Webkins. My wife really liked webkins.
Fucking love them. I had like 50 of them. I was.
Oh wait, am I in assignment 2? How the hell am I? Why am I so bad at Moodle? I always think I click on a place and then I like, well, how did I thought
it doesn't make any sense. And so there's so much like scrolling it just does on its own. And it's like, stop.
Assignment 3. Edit. Oh, I already have some examples, but I'll put in this one as well.
I'm cooler.
Oops.
No, I'm not. I'm lying. Sorry.
Boom. Monk. How's Mailman game going?
Yeah, sure haven't touched that. The person that was doing the art, we haven't really talked to them much recently, so.
Oh, the art is so cute.
But I'm working on my thesis like a good boy.
Ooh.
So.
What's your thesis?
I'm a good boy. I am making like a 3D environment exploration game.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Like Dear Esther?
I don't know what that is.
Dear Esther is a guilt-stricken man simulator
That sounds
a
fucking awesome.
guilt-stricken alcoholic man simulator where he just like walks around an island, which is a metaphor for his dead wife that got hit by a car when he was driving drunk.
Oh,
It's really depressing.
I was gonna say, oh, that sounds like what my future will look like, but maybe not.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's really cool. It's like the first walking simulator.
That's
It was
cool.
from like 2002 or something. Anyway, that is everything, everybody. Sorry to waste everyone's time with my meandering. I just attached the zip example, and then I also have some other example flowcharts and stuff. I think it was just the stuff that I had in my, did that download or not? Flowchart. There it is. Pretend flowchart, but it's pretends flowchart. That's funny. Some examples. Oh, I see where you got your idea for your flowchart style. So I have some complaints about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this examples. Feel free to follow them, or feel free to base yourself off the decent homework from last year.
Yeah, the very mediocre.
Mediocre one from last year. It's all good. Yeah. So that's that. Have a good weekend, everybody, and I'll see y'all next week. And message me if you have any problems with the lab 2 or homework 2, or if you want assistance with doing stuff, or you want my opinion on your homework 3 or lab 3 before we get to the end of the week. I'm always around.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Justin.
Of course.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye, Justin. Have a good
Bye, Mercy.
weekend.
You too. Have a good one. Monk.